just 1 second here. I just want to make sure when we get going here. I'm going to monitor that as well. All right.
You ready?
Go ahead. Just 1 second here. I just want to make sure when we get going here.
All right, I'm going to call to order the Water and Sewer Commission meeting. This is on Monday, March 1st, and we're a little bit late going, but we're all here. So we do have Chris and Pete and myself. That makes a quorum. So we will open up with public participation. I don't know if anybody from the public is online or not.
I don't, whoop, hang on, sorry. Nope, I don't see anybody else.
Okay, so billing issues. Steve, you got billing issues? Gotta unmute yourself, Steve. Can you unmute him?
Here we go. Okay. Right. So I don't believe we have any billing issues at this time.
Okay, so next thing we move on to is the waste hauler permit violation. You want to handle that, Steve, or Chris?
Well, I'll talk about it. And if Chris has anything to add, but basically what appears to have happened is that a waste hauler IBS was negligent and sent a truck to our facility that either had not been fully dumped or hadn't been cleaned out, and discharged a large quantity of what looked like cooking oil and grease to the septic receiving station. And this was the only truck that was in that morning. They basically acknowledged the problem and sent a truck to help clean up the mess at the treatment plant. But by the time we had realized that, as you can see by the photos that we sent out, it had made a real mess of the primary tanks, and it had gotten through into the rest of our process. So we had to run around cleaning out a lot of samplers and things like that. And it was problematic for us. So what we're proposing is to levy a penalty of $3,000 on IBS Septic in lieu of suspension of their permit. They are a regular customer, and so we don't want to suspend them, but we do want to make a point that we really need to have our waste haulers be very careful about not discharging deleterious materials to the treatment process.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Does this come anywhere near covering what it costs to mitigate? Or is that roughly in line? That needs to be to the penny.
It's in the ballpark of mitigation, and and they did also send some trucks by to help clean up the primary tanks, what was still on there. But that was kind of later in the day, right, Chris?
Yeah, the grease kept coming out. They got done at 2 o'clock, but we kept seeing grease till the next morning.
Yeah. And the real issue here is making sure that everyone is aware that this kind of thing could disrupt our treatment process. And if it did, it could expose us to a violation of our permit. So that's what we're trying to achieve here.
Are there any other questions? I look for a resolution to approve the $3,000 fine to be imposed on IBS Septic and Drain Service.
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Second,
All right.
second,
All right. We're all in favor. It's done.
All right, we will issue a letter of violation.
The next thing is, if you have any questions on the warrant, please address Steve at this point.
I had a question. I'm not an engineer in the plant. I feel unqualified to ask this, but like page 8 and 10 with the pump costs, can I get behind somebody that is thinking that it's time that we redo some pumps, or is that a normal amount of repair expense incurred on getting that stuff spiffed up or regularly maintained or anything?
Okay.
It's like 23 or 2.5 and 16, like.
Well, it's a significant cost, and it represents a rebuild of the pumps. What we do when we're looking at these costs is we evaluate the remaining life in the pump, how much life we can expect with a rebuild, and what it would cost to replace it. And in this case, this was the economical decision that was made, was that since it was going to be quite a bit more than this, I don't have the number in front of me, but I think it might have been about twice as much to get a new pump in, plus a significant amount of lead time to do so. So we've elected to rebuild them. I don't know, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it sounds like it was 6 of one, half dozen the other kind of thing, and not a stopgap thing. Which, not that you would do that, but I was curious where that stuff stood, and it sounds like this is just normal maintenance, and this is what you do with the stuff that we've got that we bought good in the first place, so it's worth repairing.
Yeah. So it's more like 6 of one, a dozen of the other, and we opted to buy the 6.
Are there any other questions on the warrant?
No.
Okay, so I'll look for a motion to approve the warrant.
Moved.
Pete, you want to second it? Raise your hand.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. All in favor?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
so the warrant passes. Steve, discussion. Henry Street Pump Station.
Yes.
Okay, Henry Street Pumping Station. We've advertised 4 bids. We have quite a few copies of the bid documents out on the street. And we also sent direct invitations to a number of contractors who have the required expertise who typically bid on this kind of work. Our consultant CT Mail is handling that. We had a pre-bid meeting today, and we expect to be issuing an addendum to address the contractors' questions at the end of this week or next Monday. And right now, we're still looking to receive bids on March 17th. So that project is going ahead. We would then approve that award of the lowest responsible bidder at our April meeting. And with a common council meeting a week later, and hopefully we'll be able to issue a notice to proceed and get that work started in May.
Okay, great.
MJ Engineering is working on final plans for Maple and Walnut Street. And hopefully before the end of March, all going well, we'll be able to advertise that and maybe get that project under construction in June of this year. So That's where we are with Maple and Walnut. And we all then have the gravity sewer I&I study. The reports have been submitted to EFC for funding. And we're looking for a Green Innovation Grant Program, or GIGP, funding for work on Elm Street, which we are coordinating with the downtown revitalization streetscaping work, which runs through the same Elm Street corridor. So while this adds to the total cost of the work that we're doing there, if we get the Green Innovation Grant Award, that will cover the costs of all of the green aspects of the project. So I think it'll be a really good way to move ahead and coordinate and address both the stormwater issues and the streetscaping issues. This would probably be ready for advertisement, I think, in May. And we can start that project prior to the notices of the awards on the Green Innovation Grant Program, and still have that work eligible if we are selected. And we have been working with the Environmental Facilities Corporation, who administers that program, to make sure that we tick all the right boxes to make sure that we are eligible for that grant. So that's going to include some what they call tree boxes, which are street trees planted in a special soil mix with drainage in them, which takes in the stormwater and removes some of the pollutants there. It would also include some porous pavers and infiltration devices, all in the Elm Street corridor, going down Elm and down Park Street a little ways toward Glen. Are any questions on that from anyone?
I have none.
All right. Talking with Creighton Manning engineers about the Dix Avenue project. We expect that work will recommence either at the very end of March or in early April, weather permitting. It's been a pretty good winter so far for snow and ice and cold weather. But weather permitting will be getting going then. And we're going to start with the sewer lateral repairs and with the water main modifications and water main replacement work. And then some of the storm drainage stuff. And then we're going to get into the pavement replacement, curbs, sidewalks, and handicap ramps. What I've asked the consultants and the contractors to do is to put together a preliminary schedule for their first few weeks of work. And we're looking to get out some public notice ahead of time so that people are aware that things are starting up and they can make adjustments and that everyone will know what's going on. So that'll be good to get rid of some 4-inch cast iron and 6-inch cast iron pipe, and to improve the valving on there for the water side.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm remembering a conversation that was had a while back about curbs kind of not necessarily being in the best interest of environmental things that we're supposed to meet and get towards. And I don't know if I'm misremembering that, or if this is the wrong thing to ask about here. Do you remember what I was talking about? Where things could run off the road and like not hit a curb and have to run to a drain and overload a sewer, but instead soak into the grass patch between the sidewalk and the road, kind of a thing instead, that kind of thinking. And we were looking to maybe do that. Was it more a residential thing and not on the more industrial roads, or?
Well, those are vegetated swales, and
Something that you've actually planted a lot of purposeful, not just a grass patch.
yeah, and Well, it's kind of a shallow ditch with grass in it. That'll be a vegetated swale, but that's not really appropriate. There's not a lot of room on Dix Avenue for that on either side. So what we are going with there is some dry wells and some infiltration and some sewer separation work.
Cool. All right.
We looked at it, we tried to see if we could make the green infrastructure fit there. And we didn't see that that was really going to work in the context of Dix Avenue. And as you said, it's a high traffic arterial road into the city. And
You are doing dry wells.
yeah, we are doing some dry wells in there.
Good.
Especially where it's not practical to run a storm sewer.
Great.
Thanks.
Any other questions on any of the projects? Okay. Personnel, you have anything on personnel, Steve?
Well, we're still continuing our recruiting efforts to get an assistant chief operator on board. And right now it looks as if our senior lab tech is planning to retire, leaving for some health reasons. And will likely kind of be off the books in, I think it's April, right, Chris?
Yeah,
Yeah. So what we've been doing is we have our other lab technician there who has been here for a number of years and has a lot of valuable experience. And she's stepping up and handling things. And we've been working with the Department of Health on the lab certification program to make sure that we can continue to operate our lab to do the city's work, at least. And as soon as we have the go-ahead and a definite date when we're going to have a retirement, then we can really look at trying to recruit a new lab tech. So that's where we are with that. Otherwise, I think that, we also have a couple of vacancies coming up on our field operations crew that we'll be looking to fill. And we'll be advertising for those. So we have, I think, 4 positions that we'll be looking to fill right now. And some of those are already advertised, and that will bring us up to our plan level of staffing for this year.
Okay. Any other questions they have of Steve or anybody from the management side of the water and sewer department? We don't need an executive session, correct?
No, we don't.
All right. So our next workshop will be on the 15th. And then our next regular water and sewer board meeting will be on April 5th. So seeing that there's no other business, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
We're